Order, will you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of minutes from previous meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, so Commissioner Ambrose moves, seconded by Commissioner Stone. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? None. Motion passes. Minutes are approved. Traffic survey. Commissioner Ambrose.
Traffic survey number 1, location Fox Street, nature of request. Request stop sign on Fox Street southbound at Edward Street. By whom? The town engineer Bill Hurley. Recommendation: recommend only a stop sign on Fox Street southbound at Edward Street. No stop sign needed north on Fox Street from the small dead-end circle at Edward Street.
Okay, I was on the survey, and that seemed to be the recommendation for all who attended. Anybody else in the commission want to comment? Anybody from the public want to comment on that? Hearing none, do you have a motion to approve this stop sign?
Move to approve the location.
Okay, Commissioner Ambrose, motion. Second, Commissioner Stone. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? None. Okay, motion passes. Stop sign should be installed on.
One way, just at one location.
Right, on Fox Street. Okay, number 2.
Traffic survey number 2, location Post Road at between Umpqua Road and Old Post Road. Nature of request: this is an unacceptable, dangerous intersection for pedestrians. Steep agreement. By whom? Alyssa Israel. Recommendations: notify DOT that the Police Commission has received a complaint about dangerous pedestrian conditions at this intersection and seek DOT recommendations. Does not recommend tying any future modifications to the crosswalks or crosswalk signals to the steep grant.
Okay. Anybody in the commission have anything to add to this? Nope. I was on that survey with Bill Hurley, the traffic engineer, and Captain Cole. That intersection is dangerous. According to Bill Hurley, and I don't have this in writing, but he said that the steep grant is only for a certain amount of money, and if we did all those modifications, if the state approved them, it would be way beyond what the steep grant would pay for. The other issue was that particular intersection also is affected by 3 other intersections of close proximity.
Yeah. You
have Umpqua Place, you have Sanford Street, and Reef Road. And all those intersections are intertwining. So to change one, you'd have to change them all. And it's just very complicated. It's not an easy fix. So I agree that we should have the state look at that. But I don't think the steep grant is going to cover the whole thing. But I wish Bill Hurley was here. But, so, I mean, I don't have a problem with that part as far as having the state check it out. But that's just what we observed. It's very complicated. It's not an easy intersection. Like I said, it affects 3 other intersections. And when you have, in fact, just coming here today, the traffic was crazy when I was that adjective. I mean, 95 backed up, the post road is loaded. I mean, it's just, you don't want gridlock in town Fairfield either. So there's a couple of different issues.
So do you think we should hold this over for 2 sessions?
I don't have a problem with asking the state to, look into this further, to see what improvements they can do, like do traffic counters. It is a state road, so they have jurisdiction, and see what they come up with. But that's just my recommendation. Anybody else have?
I agree with Commissioner Hines. It doesn't hurt to have them take an initial look, because that will play out the actual real cost of what would be involved, because those other 2 lights are in sync with it, but the whole downtown, as you can see, is like on a same grid. That's why when you get a green light on the post road, traffic's flowing. So to interrupt that could be, but that is a very strange intersection when you basically, as a pedestrian, are walking with the light.
What time frame would you, think, Jimmy, would,
State?
for the state?
Oh, God, that could take up a long time. Do you guys have any idea how long that's taking?
We've had this intersection looked at several times. We had a couple of petitions come before the police commission over, I'd say the last 3 or 4 years. And, they were for no turn on red, which was implemented. Another one was for putting a pedestrian phase, sole pedestrian phase in that entire intersection. And the state came in and denied those requests. Now, with the inclusion of this grant money, maybe they would, consider that. But I know they did not. One of the reasons for the denial was the concurrent phases that run all the way up the Post Road.
Yeah.
And there's not enough timing in those light cycles to accommodate for ADA compliance with the crosswalk.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the commission? Hearing none. From the public, like to speak? Just state your name and your address.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Alyssa Israel, 679 Roland Road. Thank you for hearing me today. I was not aware there were other petitions in the denials, so that's good to know. So if you don't mind my asking the commission a question about the process now that I guess we're giving them a similar request to others in the past. What is the process, and is it public, or can it be public with DOT so that we actually can talk to the people who are making decisions?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so if the commission were to suggest that the DOT takes a look at it, they only look for public input if they are making a change to it. So if there's, they base their decisions on best engineering practices. So the only time that they will consider asking the public for their input is, if there was a high accident volume or something that where the municipality was saying, hey, this is a very busy road, this is something you need to look at. Other than that, they strictly base their decisions on best engineering practices.
That's very interesting to know and helpful.
Yeah.
So now that I'm understanding that better, and I think we all agree it's a very dangerous intersection, so I don't have to go over the testimony from the public or show you pictures or anything like that. Since we all agree it's a difficult intersection and does need review, and we don't want to get denied again, would the commission be willing to ask DOT to please make this a public review so that people can really impress upon them that that we do need to make changes here, that the town has a complete street policy, as does the state, yet that concept of a complete street and pedestrian safety is not taking place locally. And I think I would like to know why. I would like to understand why. And if they keep denying requests to fix this intersection, it's just, to me, unacceptable. And I think they need to be held accountable to our town, to the residents who live here and are afraid to cross there.
I would suggest to you, reach out to your state reps, because they're the ones that have kind of semi-authority over the DOT, and tell them to contact the supervisor of DOT and tell them, your feelings about, what's going on here. I mean, as I said before, I was down there and I was observing that for quite a while, and if you make the analogy, you've seen Four Corners, which is up by the old pub there, Little Pub, the 4 intersections.
Sure.
That has, and that thing works perfect, but they don't have 4 other intersections linked to that particular light.
Right.
So that's what I think the difficulty is. But, I would say DOT is not gonna listen to us. We can submit to them, but if you hit your state reps,
Here's Bill.
that would be the way to go as far as
It would be great to have the weight of the police commission behind that idea in a statement, if you can have one. Bill, let me catch you up to date. The chief and the commission were, do you mind if I get, or does anyone else want to tell Bill we're?
No, go ahead.
I was asking the commission about the process, the DOT process. The chief said that there had been other petitions in the past 3 to 4 years, and the state denied them, and I was unaware of that and concerned that they were denied over concurrent phasing, and I guess they're worried about traffic flow and holding up traffic flow. That's what they told me, like, over 10 years ago when I was doing a walkthrough. Yeah, we don't want to do anything because it'll hold up traffic. I'm like, ugh. Anyway, so I was asking the commission, once we send this over to DOT, if we can have a public process. So this isn't like, occurring under the radar and they make a decision and they deny it and it's over. I would like them to make it public and to tell people publicly why they cannot fix this intersection. And I was asking the commission if the chair suggested I go to our state reps and I asked the commission if they would put some weight behind a request to our state reps by making a statement or,
Well,
DOT.
we have no authority over the DOT. Actually, we report to DOT in a way. They have the ultimate authority. It's a state road, it's Route 1. So we can't tell them what to do, but your state reps can,
Okay.
We don't have the authority. I wish I did have the authority.
All right. Well, maybe we could start, there's something I haven't been able to clarify with the steep grant that's vexing me. And Mega Jane, the town's new senior civil engineer, did you have this in your handout?
We just have something recently.
Oh, did you receive it as well?
We just got this now, so we have a chance to review it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I made copies and brought it, and I'm sorry it's small. I didn't have a chance to get to our big printer. And then there's also an explanation that the engineering department did. But so let me tell you what's vexing me about the current steep grant and what they're proposing to do. Number one, okay, if you see on 3 of the corners, they've asked the town to put perpendicular curb ramps for handicap curb ramps. Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. On only 3 of the corners, and not on the community theater corner. So they're allowing, and that was just replaced a few weeks ago. They ripped it out. They ripped out the whole sidewalk along the curb at the community theater, and they put back in a corner pedestrian ramp. Yet, they're asking us to spend our steep money on 3 perpendicular curb ramps. So I feel that they should explain to us why they are asking for us.
I can explain.
Okay, great. Why 3
The corners don't line up. That's the only one where the pedestrian crosswalk lines up with the actual corner. The rest of them, if you can see, the crosswalks
don't even line up to the corner. So, well, they could, they could just restripe it so that it does line up a little bit better instead of asking for this infrastructure change. No, right?
I'm just.
Like that would be a cheaper fix while we, because I'm thinking these handicap ramps are maybe less of a priority than the pedestrian signals that we need there. This is just something I feel like a conversation with DOT would help. Like, it seems like we give them something to review and they write back. It's like it's never a conversation with them, and I would like to start a conversation. and with them, if that's possible.
Yeah, I think you should also understand that if you change anything, and Bill could probably add to this, if you change anything, that is already existing, you have to bring everything up to compliance. So like what you just said, well, if we just changed the crosswalk and didn't bring the ADA ramps into compliance, we don't have the ability to do that. Like, we can't just say, well, we'll do this right now. If we're gonna change the infrastructure or the way the sidewalks are set up, we're gonna do it into current compliance. Bill, can you add to that?
Yes, Bill Hurley, Fairfield Engineering Manager. One of the things with, just to let everybody know, that with the STEEP grant, that was, I think, awarded about 2 years ago. And so we had to go through the design process. We're about 95% done with the design and the specifications for it. We now have to send that into the state DOT 3, which is New Haven, for review. They may also send it up to DOT Newington. And so we have to submit to both entities at the DOT. Then they're going to come back with conditions of approval. And then that's where, like the chief was saying, they may say, well, you're doing this, you may have to upgrade this and this. And if that's the case, then we're kind of in a little bit of a pickle because the STEEP grant is already limited, it's capped. So anything additional is going to cost the town directly. We don't get it. Even though they might be willing to extend the timeline, they don't extend the grant parameters. I got an email from the state regarding that, where they had said that any change of scope has to be endorsed by the town and then approved by all the state agencies to do that. So that's going to delay that could delay the project. So we were going to keep the STEEP as proposed, and then basically my recommendation with the survey team when we went out on the survey a couple weeks ago was to at least forward concerns by the public and see if the state had any ideas to improve the intersection. The hope there is that if it's their idea, maybe then they'll spend money for it. If it's our idea, then they'll just quickly say, oh, if you want to do it, go do it,
What's the limit of the STEEP grant?
The STEEP grant was $126,800, something like, give or take a couple of thousand. And we already have a $26,000 cost share already. So the project ends up being $150,000. And that's where it's pretty much capped. Some of these improvements, like, no turn on red. Well, the state can do a study and determine that. What we've learned in some cases where no turn on red helps the pedestrians, okay, but then the commission gets, 20 emails or phone calls that said, it's backing up and now I can't get out of my driveway, or it's backing up blocking my business, or it's making my commute 5 minutes longer. And so it really is a balance. And I would recommend to the police commission that we go forward with the STEEP grant as is. But then also some of these incidents or suggestions that are being made to maybe forward them to the state, or just even a simple request of, we have a lot of concerned citizens about this intersection, and the state take a look at it and make recommendations. That's what I would propose.
Okay.
Okay?
I could draft a letter on behalf of the LTA and submit it to Bill Hurley for review to then send up to the engineering department.
That'd be perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
And just, thank you. And just so that we just don't have, I guess, a digital communication with DOT, that we have some kind of, again, a conversation and in person where we can brainstorm ideas. I just think it's so hard to do anything creative or better for this intersection when it's just like code and, back and forth email. It's just not going to happen. And we did the safety audit with how many people from DOT along Stratfield Road?
There were 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
That was a good turnout for that.
And And what an amazing experience to directly meet them and talk to them and say, hey, can we do this, can we do that? And that's I think where you can generate some movement, some progress, and not just get, oh, sorry, we're not going to do this, you know. So that, if there's any way you can do that, and are you saying now I should go to my legislators, and I don't even know what to ask them for?
Well, I think the thing is, like, the police commission is, we go by the town charter, and we take our directions from that, and what our powers and responsibilities are. The state DOT is guided by state regulations on how they conduct their business.
Right.
So we can't, from a town, tell the state how they should be conducting their business or their meetings. That would have to be a state thing, which would fall under the guise of state representative or state senator, to define how they're gonna do things. We can tell them all day to have a public meeting, they'll just overlook it and say, you know, do it the way that they're doing.
I hear you. We don't want to tell anybody what to do. That never goes over. I would just say encourage, you know, if we did this in the safety audit, and I guess that's a very acceptable form of getting together, and I don't know if there's like a little way to get to them somehow, and I'll leave it up to...
Yeah, how did you get them the first time?
Bill, how did...
Actually, it was a combination of, I, having performed a couple of them before, for Grassmere Post and Southport, Center Street and, Halls Highway area, we were able to get grant money through that. The Fairfield Bike and Ped Committee and several neighbors expressed concerns about safety on the Stratfield Road sidewalks and crosswalks, you know, or lack of. And so, knowing that we hadn't talked to the state in a while, I invited them down. I said that engineering would do the road safety audit paperwork. So sometimes that's a little carrot. Oh, we don't have to do the paperwork? But we'll gladly come down. And so I was able to get traffic engineering to come down, and the connectivity or pedestrian coordinator from the state to come down, and there was a couple of other state people there as well. But again, just to show you how the state, just as Jamie had mentioned, that we wanted somebody from Yukon, but they said, no, it's a state road. Our Yukon, quote, connection or coordinator can only come on local roads. So they actually disinvited her to come down. So just to show you that that's how strict they are with the process that they do.
All right. Well,
So that would be, in a nutshell, is, again, these concerns, we can just forward them as we have some safety concerns, don't even specify what ones, see what they come up with. And then later on, maybe in the spring, if, depending on what comments they give us for the original steep grant, what comments they give us for our latest request, and then if we have to hold a road safety audit for this location, and maybe one or two others, we can do that. They seem to be amenable. They don't like to go out every month, but maybe, you know, semi-annually or something like that, they would be willing to do. And
I
so,
guess that seems like the
that would be the best approach.
Yep.
And it meets their standards of process.
Oh, perfect. All right, we'll go for that. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, why don't we make
We don't have to vote on it.
well, make a motion to
Recommendation?
authorize the chief to
Yeah.
write the letter,
Yeah.
he suggested he'd write to send to
Yep,
Sounds good. All right, let's make a
Mr.
motion.
Hurley. I'll make that motion, then we,
Second?
I'll second.
Charlie Lee,
Mhm.
Commissioner Lebo? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Chief will write the letter. Thank you again.
In the meantime, Alyssa,
The chief is gonna draft a letter for the legal traffic authority
she should.
for consideration.
All right, she's done.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Of,
Oh, right, here we go. You ready?
intersection of Huntsville Road and
Janet.
Actually, if I may just add real quick, because the commission looked at, I think, a month earlier, that Marne Avenue and Stratford Road crosswalk. During that road safety audit, we visited the site and let the state know, and the impression I got is they would look at that, and if the town did the handicap ramps,
Yeah.
they would do the pavement markings and the signs. So as a result of that road safety audit and the, police commission, approval, or at least forward to the state, we got the wheels going on it. I just wanted to give you an update.
Oh, super, thank you. Okay, anybody have any other questions for the commission?
No,
Okay.
good.
Traffic survey number 3.
Number 3, Umpqua Place, nature of request. The east side of Umpqua Place is presently posted as a 2-hour zone. There are several parking spaces which are geographically situated between the entrance and the exit driveways to the businesses. And in my opinion, pose a danger to traffic on Umpqua Place and to the vehicles exiting the driveways to the businesses. A new residential building is being constructed, which has a new driveway access at the end of Umpqua Place, just before the Metro North train station. Request the east side of Umpqua Place, north of the exit driveway, at the Chelsea Restaurant to the Metro North train station be posted, no parking anytime. By whom? Number 1, Lieutenant Michael Paris. Recommendation, Bill Hurley, Town Engineer, and Mark Barnhart, Director of Community and Economic Development, recommend eliminating the parking spaces on the east side of Umpqua Place from the bank south to the train tracks, unless business owners on the street object. Leave the spaces 2-hour parking up to the Chelsea Restaurant.
Okay, so, we went on the survey, and, the 2 parking spots near Chelsea, the business owners, first of all, let me just say that parking is very restricted down there anyway, it's tough. But Lieutenant Ferris makes a good point. There's these little driveways and tiny little spots between them that is dangerous. So we recommend eliminating the 2-hour parking, but the 2 spots by the Chelsea, you want to keep. That's our recommendation. Lieutenant Ferris, you want to?
I think, to summarize it well, it was, the only concern we had was south, or north of the Chelsea.
Okay.
So that's a total of 2 spots that would be eliminated, the 2 that are in between the driveways?
There's a little bit more than 2, I think there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's potentially 4 there right now. When they do the new business, there was spaces there that add up to about 4, but there's no way for them to, because there's gonna be a ramp there, so those will be eliminated anyway, a driveway ramp.
After the Fairfield Beach Road one, I get a little nervous. Parking spots and getting desperate.
Mike, when you refer to the new business, do you mean the building?
The new building, I'm sorry, the new residential building.
Yeah.
Man,
We sent out letters to all of the business owners, we hand delivered them, and we didn't receive any response in the negative.
So this would start after the Chelsea, that little weird parking spot in between the 2 driveways between Chelsea's and the bank.
Yep.
And then the other one where Flynn's was,
yeah.
and, that other little spot.
Yep,
I mean, that,
Yeah.
and then, just planning for the future for that new residential building, the spaces, north of the, pediatrician to the train tracks.
In front of that building.
Correct, yeah, because there'd be no way to park there anyway.
that building is tremendous.
It's huge.
I know it's an 830G building, but oh my God, I mean,
It's huge.
I cannot believe they let that go through, but it is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be a nightmare having, people park over there,
Wow.
so. Anyway, so we need a motion, yes.
I just wanted, Lieutenant, were you thinking of doing the, right in front of that building, because the construction vehicles park there now? Would you let them park there during the construction, and once it's over, post those as no parking, or are you trying to take them away now?
Well, the reason why this came up was because we were getting complaints from people who were saying that there's parking everywhere, and they can't get out of the parking lot or driveways, clearly. And we went over there, and the construction trucks were parked in such a way that, they were so dangerous for people to get out, they couldn't even see. In fact, we had 2 signs there, posted, no parking, they cut them down. So they were parked there with the cut down signs, they went up there and zip tied it back.
Right.
Building isn't much.
And my understanding is that either the main contractor or parking authority, they have like an agreement that temporarily because of COVID, they have spots reserved.
They have 8
So we're
spots.
not really taking away the construction part.
That's correct.
What you just don't want is, well, they have to park somewhere and then now cause a problem somewhere else.
Yeah, agreed.
So I just wanna make sure.
Yeah,
that you're
yeah,
aware
the
of
parking
that.
authority gave them 8 spots, right in front of the train station
Oh,
dedicated to
okay.
it.
So there you
Well,
have it.
I think the day we were there, Captain Coble, they hired a special officer, right, there was a couple of specials that were regulating traffic, so if they continue to hire special police, to mitigate the traffic jam, that'd be great,
Yeah, I think that was the train station,
Oh, wasn't that extra?
no, I don't think it was extra, I think that was a normal,
Well, maybe we can make a request,
Maybe.
I mean, we were there, the gigantic boom trucks are parked there.
Right.
There's nowhere else in the park, but the building backs up the train track. But maybe you can make a stipulation that if they're gonna have their trucks there, to hire a special officer or regular officer to mitigate the traffic while they're doing their construction. Does that make sense to you guys?
Are you gonna have the, road striped too, to block those spots, or is it just gonna be the signs?
I think
I mean, if they're cutting the signs down, that's probably not I mean, at least in front of their building, maybe paint those stripes on the road, so if they knock down the signs or take them down, the.
Well, there'll eventually be a driveway there, I think the whole mouth of the
It'll kind of
driveway.
be
is
like-
one
Oh, the whole mouth is the driveway?
Yeah, whole mouth.
Oh, all right.
For
Can
parking
can we,
there.
yeah.
can we
Self-explanatory, hopefully.
make them hire officers if they're having a big, the traffic there? I mean, this is more tow truck, truck for car, I mean, it's
Be a
ridiculous.
moneymaker.
But I mean, if they
I mean, we
should
have
be
to be
able,
careful, we don't do it in any other construction zones. And it's a common problem when there's buildings going up that there's increased traffic. We send a patrol over to patrol them. If you give a couple tickets, ask them nicely a couple times, it usually works.
On the opposite side of the street is 2-hour parking. So they have the ability to park in the 2-hour parking on the opposite side of the road. They're just doing it for ease of themselves, not having to cross the street.
okay, so you're saying enforcement rather than hire,
I mean, I guess all different phases of the construction project depends who's gonna be there, the sheet rockers versus the tin knockers versus the roofers versus the siding guy. I mean,
I think you'd have
Do
to
they
like
can hire for
change
6
the
months?
ordinance to basically require at construction sites that, then
Yeah,
that would be
yeah.
highly
but
applicable.
how do they,
How
what do they hire now, like the cable companies, and they just, on their own they hire, or we make?
they hire on their own, yeah. Even when there's not a need, sometimes they hire.
But only if it's a safety issue.
But there's,
Yeah, but
I mean,
sometimes
you can't, I
they
mean,
like
like
just being there because
ordinance, right?
they don't know.
River and stuff.
So they have to submit a traffic plan 48 hours prior to hiring for the job. So if they don't submit a traffic plan, then they are required to hire a police officer. So if I want to use a flag man, I can present to the police department a plan, a traffic safety plan. To say, we're gonna have people here, and there's gonna be a flag man here, and he's gonna do this, and tell people to go here and go there. If they don't submit that 48 hours in advance, then they're required to actually hire a police officer to establish the plan when he gets to the scene.
And is that enforced?
To an extent, most of the companies don't know what they're doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
They do.
that's a true story. Yeah, that's a true statement. Most of them don't know what they're doing tomorrow, so
Yeah,
it's just easier to hire a police officer, and it reduces their liability.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
if someone gets into a crash, well, it's on the cop that was directing traffic.
We do monitor it consistently, we get, a lot of complaints at times, we notice that it's, there's no flagman or a police officer there, we go out there and we find it to be a dangerous situation, we either shut them down or advise them they need to have somebody there.
And when they submit that plan, you can also deny it, right?
We
And
can,
say that
yeah.
You're gonna have to hire, yeah.
Very few construction companies submit plans because, for the reasons I just gave you. They don't know what they're doing tomorrow.
I've seen the plan.
They figure it out.
Blank road.
They figure it out at 6 in the
Okay.
morning, and the second thing is, it's just easier to reduce liability, like the big companies like UI, Burns, the gas company, it just reduces their liability.
Sure.
Sometimes they have union, contractual obligations where the workers' union say, we want a police officer there.
Yep.
We want a car behind our truck with lights on, just for those
Yep.
safety reasons.
Ron,
Yes.
the condo that was constructed over on Kings Highway, where we had the issue with the deli.
Yep.
Yep.
At one point, we were suggesting that the contractors park in the underground portion of the building. Now, is this building at the point where some of those contractors can pull in and park under the building?
It is. Yeah. They're at the point now where vehicles can park in that lot. They chose not to do that, but they have the ability to pull in it.
Well, look, the day we were there, with that Captain Cole, there was a big truck out front, and it was not gonna fit underneath that building, so. I think when they bring in the boom trucks in, that's the
No,
issue.
they won't fit.
I mean, the reasonableness on our end is, we've monitored this, and we've noticed that, there's construction companies there, and we understand that they need to conduct their business. This is not really for those temporary, just in and out, just release things, et cetera. It's more of the long term, where the painter's parking there all day long, because it's a closed spot, and now they have, a free spot that's 10 feet away from the driveway rather than the other way of the other side of the street.
Anybody else have anything?
I'll make the motion to, keep the two spots in front of Chelsea and eliminate the spots that go from the Chelsea driveway, direction was that? North to the train station.
You have a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Ambrose. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay. Old business? Any old business? New business, Chief, can we get these dates now about when you want us to have these special meetings?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yes,
Thanks, Bill.
I don't have the email in front of me, but I could probably go off the top of my head. So, next, the 22nd
Okay, uh-huh.
will be, next week we have, promotional exams.
Right.
Tomorrow is the written test for the sergeants, and then, in the beginning of next week, 2 days sergeant's assessment center and then lieutenant's assessment center. There's a pretty high likelihood that I will have the results by the 16th of February.
Uh-huh.
Which in turn will establish a list. That list, I'd like to have promulgated for the 22nd, so we'd have to have a meeting by then, on the 22nd, and then I'd like to also, go into executive session for, lateral officer interviews.
Mhm.
On the 22nd.
On the
22nd.
22nd at 4:30.
And how long do you think just for timing, how long do you think that whole thing would, like, I don't know how many interviews you have, but the time for that night?
I'll say 3 hours,
Okay.
and those are only laterals.
Okay, so that's the
Mhm.
22nd.
22nd. But what about the 16th now, after we establish the list?
So the list is just gonna come to me
Right.
from the testing company,
Okay,
and then I will present that to you on the 22nd.
on the 22nd,
Yeah.
okay, so that's.
And doesn't they get promoted on the 23rd?
And then the 23rd will be the promotional ceremony,
Oh, 22nd.
Mhm.
yep, for those who are being promoted
Mhm.
off of the list that you're promulgating
Right,
the day
mhm.
before.
Yep.
In addition to the 3 promotions, we will be recognizing that happened in January.
Right.
Detective Fuller,
Mhm.
from officer to detective,
Mhm.
Captain Broderick to deputy chief,
Mhm.
and Lieutenant Wyatt to Captain Wyatt.
Mhm.
23rd.
And that will be on the 23rd at the SHU Community Theater downtown.
4:30, right?
4:30.
Yep, mhm.
So we have nothing on the 16th, that's just when the list is.
That's when the list will come.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah, all right, is there a way, good for your calendars?
And then,
Yep.
Are there new hire, like, brand-new officer interviews too?
I'm
That's
thinking
further down.
we're gonna try to do the, new officer interviews at the March meeting. So we'll get you here once. It may take a little longer. By the time we get through the commission meeting itself, we'll go into executive session, and then we'll do the new hire interviews.
Mhm.
And how many new hires would that's not gonna be 10 after the commission meeting, is it? Like 10 interviews? Because we normally do 10 people.
It's like, what's our?
10 would be like 5 hours, right?
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, so that may be like, maybe a different meeting.
If you would all prefer a different date, then
What
we'll-
day is the meeting now in March?
Wednesday the 9th.
Yeah, March
Yeah.
9th.
That's fine. Mhm.
Well, how many, do you have a list of, how many?
You don't know.
Like,
We,
I think you said.
it's not established yet. There's 15, likely 15 candidates.
Why don't we shorten it to, have that March meeting on 9th, and then shorten the interviews to like 7, so we split it.
You wanna do 2 separate days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever, sure.
You wanna pick a day right now?
Well, it's good to do all, if we're doing 10 interviews.
Yeah, let's
do
just get
them
it
in
done.
one day.
Let's get it
so
done.
they're all
I think we're
there.
talking about maybe 15 people interviewed.
Well, what if the meeting's short?
15 for us to interview? Total? Or?
Well, I'll paint the picture for you. There's a pretty high likelihood that we're gonna have, I said 11 in my email, and since that email, we've had another resignation, that's happening on February 18th, and we have another officer that is seeking employment somewhere else. So, it looks like there will be 12 or 13 officer, positions by July.
Well, what if we did this? What if we had, so we have our meeting on the 9th, then we have another date where we do what we normally do, 10, the top 10.
Okay.
And then we have another one, which would be the bottom 5. So then we at least do the top 10, and then out of the bottom 5, then we'll see how many come out of the top 10. And then maybe that bottom 5 will need to be expanded to another group of 10 by that time.
Okay.
Then we're probably in.
So you don't want, you don't want.
You know what I mean? Because if we interview 10 and say all of a sudden out of those 10, there's only 4 selected.
Right.
Now, the second group of 5, because I'm sure the list is longer than 15 total, then they can vet 10 into that group of 5. If we take all 10 into 10, let's say that second group of 5, now they have the ability to expand that up to 10 officers for a second round of interviews. Because, I mean, there have been times where the top 10, we only take, like 5 or 6.
Yeah, we're not.
And then, so this way they can continue to expand, and then if we need to have a third, then we go on to a third. You just keep going down the list.
Well, question, how many laterals will we be looking at on the 22nd?
We'll probably be able to put, between 5 and 7 laterals for you.
In a perfect world of those 5 or 7, if 3 or 4 make the cut and come through, that decreases the need for the new hires list a little bit, correct? Or no?
I don't think it decreases the need. I think there's still a need. You're still looking at, let's say we get 4 out of that lateral transfers. We may need 9 by July.
So if we get lucky and get 4 of them that make it through, then that takes the big list down to a need of 8?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's unlikely 8 will get, it's unlikely 8 would get satisfied with the first 10.
Yeah.
Based on history, right?
Yep.
We might get 5, 6, 7, or 8, and then people drop off from that point, and the need builds back up, like Jamie was just saying. Okay.
The last list that the commission promulgated, both combined lateral and new officer, we had a total of 8 candidates, 2 of which dropped off. 1 got out of the background, and the other one took employment somewhere else.
Right, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron?
Yes.
Chief, you, in your email, indicated that you were going to request 2 additional officers be added to the ranks. Are they in part of the count that we're talking about, or would they be additional to that count?
They are part of the count that I'm talking about.
They are part of it.
Part of that 12. Right.
Yeah.
So if we get, whether it's transfers or new hires, let's say we find 12 people that we like and like us, what is the academy like these days? What is the timeline to get them through by July or whatever?
Yeah, so we have 5, it looks like we'll have 5 slots in the June class.
In the June class?
So if we can get, candidates vetted, background checks, psychological, all their processes done before that, so we can submit the names to the academy, before the June 5th start date. It's usually, they're looking for names and date of births before they, a good month or 2 before, because they want to, if they have that extra seat, they want to give that to another municipality if we can't fill it.
Now, this is, Marion or Bridgeport?
Meredith.
Now, this is gonna be open in Bridgeport.
I'm sorry?
There's another academy in Bridgeport, right? You got someone there now?
There's an academy going on right now, 13 officers, we have one,
So can we,
Tiffany
are
Robledo.
we able to use that academy also, besides the 5 in Marion?
If Bridgeport runs another academy, yeah. So it's contingent upon them. I think they're down 100 officers right now.
So, have another academy too.
Yeah, but they may not, they need to fill their own place.
Yeah, right.
So we can get 5 through that process in a perfect world.
Yes, sir.
So even those 5 plus 4 of the laterals still only gets us to 9.
Nice.
So why don't,
We submitted a request for 5, and they may only give us 3, they may give us 4. But we're also seeking other avenues. Milford runs an academy.
Okay.
You know, so we have our feelers out through the training association.
Sounds like you're on it.
so what if we did something like this? If we do like the 9th, our regular meeting, and then maybe the week later on the, whatever that is, the 16th, do 10, and once we see how many come out of the 10, because if you only have 5 lined up after that and maybe need to get more, now you're gonna need a little bit of time to vet those additional people out. So then we could see how many we ended up with on, say, the 16th, and then make a plan from there to say, maybe give you guys a couple more weeks to vet more people out, and then reconvene, you know, the end of March, beginning of April to interview another 10.
Okay?
I think
I mean,
one of
does
the
that
challenges,
sound good?
Lieutenant Esposito was getting, was established so we could start the background check and have enough time to be ready for the June Academy. Right, that was one of the.
Yeah, so to your point, if we did the 9th and the 16th of March, as long as everybody is good with those dates, we will schedule that to see 10 and 10 on those days.
10 on the 9th and 10 on the 16th?
Yeah.
All right, and then for a regular meeting, are we just gonna cancel the post to just have no March meeting and?
No, we could just
Yeah,
go.
it'll be quick. We'll make
Yeah.
sure that there's not too many traffic surveys on
Well, no,
for that.
March,
Yeah.
okay, do,
So the March 9th meeting, we're gonna do 10, and then the 16th, we're gonna do another 10.
Another 10. And then so we get in,
And the 22nd, we're gonna have
You're going to promulgate the rules, right, on February 22nd?
22nd is
February
February.
22nd will be a special meeting,
For the promulgation of the list.
Yep.
and then an executive session for hire, new
Then
hires.
23rd is the promotion.
Right.
We're gonna
All
have
right,
9th,
let's-
16th, 22nd, 23rd.
22nd of February, we're gonna have a special meeting.
Right.
23rd, if you want to attend, is the promotional ceremony at Sacred Heart Theater.
Right.
The 9th, we're gonna have our meeting, and then after that, we're going to do 10.
Right.
And then on the 16th, we're gonna do another 10.
Right.
Sound good?
15th and 16th.
We're good?
So on the 9th, we should probably plan on being here till like 10:30 at night,
Yeah.
and then,
Dinner and dessert.
And the 16th will be late also. So March 9th and 16th will be late. A&S nights, wherever you get stuff from. What do you get from?
A&S.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
just
so-
hold them now on
I
the
know,
phone.
I know.
Everybody's got the dates down?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
We're all good.
All right. Is there any other business, new business?
I'd like to touch real quick on the monthly report. Just to bring everyone up to speed to where my challenges are, so you realize what you're getting. This was adopted by Don Smith, who started, Chief Smith, who was great in many computer formats. It's a very complicated report, and it's great, but I have a serious learning curve, so I'm trying to catch up.
Doing great.
And all the reports in the different divisions, we're all kind of learning our jobs as we're all kind of new. So I have a lot of data there. I'm trying to find how to give you guys the proper data without boring you with nonsense or putting stuff that doesn't really need to be in there. So Commissioner Pine pointed out larcenies and statistical data. Larcenies looks like burglaries are cumulative, and then it's residential, garage,
Right.
commercial.
Go down.
Larcenies is not. So larcenies, there's a miscellaneous, but it's not labeled miscellaneous, it's labeled larcenies. So I looked into some of the reports, and then like what kind of reports, like from the metro station, cooking oil, falling from a locker, missing Amazon packages. So we're gonna look at maybe labeling that different, so if anybody picks up that the total larcenies don't add up to all the ones below. It's standalone, then it's larcenies from vehicles, and larcenies from motor vehicles is going out, technically a burglary, but we call it as a larceny. We charge it as a burglary, but we charge it as a burglary when we make an arrest. So, it's a work in progress. We're looking at some other formats to maybe draw the information on LAS so it's not so labor intensive. Part of it's my learning, part of it is just, it's a beer to put together.
Yep.
So I'm working on it. I think it's retirements and resignations, promotions are important. Is there anything in here that's anything in here that you think is useless? Is there anything in here that you would like to see? I'm trying not to make it a 40-page report of useless knowledge that is cool to look at, but really doesn't serve a purpose.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
To me,
If you look through it and you think of anything, send me an email, like what might be helpful and why.
Sure.
Sure.
And we could adjust it as we go forward, but, it's a learning curve for me, and I'm learning. So on top of the budget and this, I'm trying to consider.
Right, that's the budget too, yeah.
I think, I don't know how to say this exactly, but there's a little bit uneasiness in the community. People aren't sure how safe they are. They aren't sure what's going to happen if they're in the store shopping. So I don't know if you want to put something in the report so that if somebody were to ask me a question as to how safe is the community now versus all this previous hoopla about the problems, that we can say, yes, we're very safe. Things really aren't the way they appear to be other places. Because there is an undercurrent that I happened upon the other day that the people are really kind of nervous about what's going on and about their safety in their homes and walking down the street and getting in their car, that sort of stuff. So from what I read in here, everything's fine, basically.
We had a meeting last night with the Public Safety Committee for the RTN, and we did find there are some numbers trending up, right? We know the car breaks and stolen cars are trending up over the last couple of years since COVID and since these. So some of it's true, and some of what's going on nationally has rolled over here. But the violent crimes haven't. We've had a couple robberies, kind of.
Yeah, I get it, yeah. But
so it's in the data, but yeah, I try to put, I put the school thread in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
The kayakers,
The kayakers, yeah, because that's kind of feel good.
Yeah.
People did a great job.
I thought that was great.
If I could just add something also, sometimes these cases that are a little more alarming, previously were not as accessible to the public. Now with social media and everything, and we do our best to get the information out there as quickly as we can to the community so that, so sometimes it's just that they're just seeing more of it because we're putting more of it out there.
Okay.
And, it's not necessarily the crime, it's more of the fear of crime.
Right.
As to how people feel in their own communities. And I think that's one of the things, maybe it's just a little more, it's touching them more, whether it's be through social media or the news media or, them visiting on our website. Also consider if you recommend any changes for the deputy chief to make on this report gets published to our website also. So people can go to our website and look at what's trending. So if there's anything that you think, I like your idea.
I just thought, like a header, just a little couple of sentences. Things are great in Fairfield. Rosy as always. I mean, anything that would give you just a little talking point.
I went through the numbers because I know, from past experience, you see a number that's 30 and now it's 60, what happened?
Yeah,
and I didn't really, the only thing I found in motor vehicle accident was injuries. I found over the last 3 years, the numbers were really low. And my own, I'm like, there's no way there's only 6 for a month. Sometimes there's 5 in a day. I hear them. I hear the radio.
Yeah.
So I pulled it. I'm not sure where the previous data came from, but I ran it individually, and I found the number to be different. So you'll see accident with injuries, 6, 7 in previous months. In December and January, it's up around 20 and 30, and that's probably more realistic number. So it was a report somewhere that probably wasn't pulling all the data, but I ran it individually. I found that to be, it just kind of, I tried to think what you would see in Q on that was different. So.
That's good.
Well, here's something related to Joe. I was on social media last night, and I could see Cascade Drive, where their garage doors were open. And then all of a sudden, people are saying, oh, we have so much crime in our area. But they really don't. and I didn't want to answer because I didn't know what to say, and I certainly don't want to represent the police department, but is there heavy crime on Cascade Drive? One lady made a comment that, sometimes your garage door opener opens up your garage door. Nothing was taken, there was no crime. So, they're blowing it out of proportion too, because they're uneasy and afraid. So you see something like that, what should we do? Should we
I think if there's a
forward?
trend, I think forward those, if there's a trend, we'll handle it, like, the first selectman's office called over, did you have 12 burglaries? And we do have a number of burglaries there. We had Bronson Road, Uncle Road, Brook Bend. We do have some residential burglaries going on right now, but it wasn't 12, it was 4. So the person whose house got burglarized called and said, "You've had a dozen, what are you doing about it?" And Jackie was all over and said, "It's really 12 burglaries." And I said, "No, it's 4. So there was some truth to it, but it wasn't as bad as they thought it was.
Right, and I think that's what happened last night.
People get a little crazy on the social media.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, the monthly report, which we're going over now, anybody have anything else on the monthly report? I met, Lieutenant Paris, it's like your numbers are up for, traffic stops, infractions, that's good.
Yeah, substantial.
Now, I got one question, so crash investigating unit gave out 23 infractions and 6 misdemeanors, is that separate from you guys?
I don't know.
Same unit, but specifically, those were given out by the, crash guys.
Okay, so if you say you gave out 239 infractions, you add the 23 from the traffic.
That's correct, it's additional.
I mean, shows that, and one of the things when, Miss Israel was talking, I was walking by the post office, the old post office, and I almost got hit in the crosswalk, okay, a car went by me, I was quick. Crosswalks, signs, blinking lights, I mean, it comes down to the driver has to be careful also. I mean, the fact that we give out that many infractions for violations shows that people are not driving properly. And you can put all the signs up you want, and all the blinking lights, and all the crosswalks, but people aren't gonna drive properly, or they're gonna drive intoxicated. Or as that survey we got from, Mrs. Real, risky behavior, I think there's somewhere down the line, we have to give the public, educate the public as far as compliance with the traffic laws. That might help too, besides just painting crosswalks and putting up lights and stuff, so that's just my little.
I'm in here.
Okay, anybody else, anything else? No, anybody from the public, anything else? No? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Stone, second. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, abstentions?
All good?
Okay.
All good?
All right, yeah.
Done.